In their second really encouraging performance for the season, the Eagles came oh so close to pulling off what would have been the most Essendon upset of all time. But the Bombers got it done, and I want to dissect it all, so let's get into it. Now, I know I gave the Bombers a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek jab there that it would have been the most Essendon upset of all time. I still agree with this across the board, and this exists with Carlton in their win over North as well, which is not being covered in this video because what do I even need to say about that game? North are worse than I thought they would be. Carlton are hitting form, and I did say that the Blues would win plenty of games after they won their first one. It was a monkey off the back. That's proven to be true. They still haven't beaten anyone that's not North Melbourne, West Coast, or I think Richmond since like June last year. So as soon as they start doing that, they'll probably get more of the limelight. But when you beat an opposition that you're expected to beat, now particularly on the road, and of course Carlton were able to do that against West Coast last week at Adelaide Oval, and of course the Bombers going over to Optus Stadium and doing that, it's never easy to do. So Victorian teams winning interstate in the last 15, 20 years has a success rate of around 28%. So it is tough to do. I don't care who your opposition is. They got the job done. Now, it feels a little bit crap that 2 out of the 3 games in the Easter weekend of footy would have been wins and against the odds, and I didn't take either of them. Is not filling me with a lot of joy right now, but massive credit to the Eagles, but we'll get to them a little bit later on. The Bombers, it looked like they were carried hard by a few players, to be perfectly honest with you. And of course, the first one to talk about is Peter Wright. 2-meter Peter in that forward line just makes a hell of a lot of sense. Outside of the fact that, look, he kicked 6, I understand that, and did play on McGovern, did play a little bit on Marich, did play a little bit on Edwards. So it's come to expect that he would be able to get some balls. 6 goals, 1, that beautiful goal-kicking style on show yet again for the Bombers' best and fairest winner of a few years ago. What it also did was open up other avenues to goal. Not only does it open up that sort of 55 to 70 region for the Bombers to be able to attack with the ball carrier, because defenders aren't coming as far up, because they can't drop off 2-meter Peter, especially if they're trying to do a 2-on-1 kind of situation, which means more pockets open up in space. Now, they're going to need to be better with that, because, of course, without Wright, they only kicked 5 schnaggers, but it is going to improve as the year goes on, remembering that this is his first game back. Not only is it his first game back, it is the forward line's first game with him. But across the board, you get a tick there, because the Bombers' problems weren't really ahead of the ball at all. They didn't really exist in the midfield either, because they dominated clearance for the majority of the game, particularly out of the centre, particularly in that second half. So then it became, well, what the hell happened and how did this nearly go wrong? And the simple answer to that was turnover. Not only did they concede a hell of a lot of turnovers, they did not want to defend on turnover transition at all. And at no point during the game did they look like they would do that all that well. There were kind of 2 standout moments, especially in that last quarter. One was Andy McGrath, who was sensational all day and deserves a lot of credit. One of the more maligned number 1 draft picks, especially of the last sort of decade or so, especially someone like a Cam Rayner kind of has the monkey off the back, considering he was a part of the premiership team last year. So kind of McGrath is the one that's kind of copping it a little bit from opposition fans and Bomber fans, to be fair, but he had a really nice moment where the turnover didn't come from him. Might have been Jackson Pryor or Archie Roberts from memory. The transition ball came in. He beat Cripps in basically 2 one-on-ones back-to-back in the contest. That was a massive win. And of course, Nick Martin getting across to take the game-saving mark was a way that they did it. Now, did they really give over an egregious turnover? Did they concede an egregious turnover? No, they won the centre clearance, belted it out to half forward, the Sean Burgoyne special. As it was, the Eagles won a 3-on-2 effectively on the half back flank for them, half forward for the Bombers. The ball got kicked absent-mindedly by the Eagles. Nick Martin came across the 1-on-1, took the game-saving mark. So defending that turnover was key. And by no means am I sitting here saying that the Bombers are now a bona fide superstar team. Absolutely not. But we do have to accept that, and I was fully prepared to do this, make probably a 12 to 15 minute video giving them absolute shit for losing this. Therefore, we need to give them the credit they deserve for getting the win. But Andy McGrath carried them really well. Nick Martin was good, especially in that second half. Deserves credit for it. One of the better games Dylan Shield has played for about a year and a half. In open space, he's so good, and he had that clearance where he blind turned effectively around 2 Eagles opponents. I know one of them had overrun the ball by maybe a step and a half, but he won a 2-on-1 in the centre clearance and delivered an absolute bullet to Archie Perkins late in the third quarter, which just made you go... And even when he was at the Giants, there was just a case of if he could kick like that consistently, he would have been a Brownlow contender for a period of time. Evidently, that has not been the case. Kicked a nice goal in the second quarter as well, did Dilzer. So credit to him, absolutely. I feel like Isaac Kako is just like a moment away from ripping a game to shreds. I like the way he's been coming up to the ball, kind of playing that high half-forward role in order to get him more of the footy. The vitriol that I'm kind of seeing on Twitter at the moment, which is my fault for still looking at footy opinions on Twitter, I suppose, but giving him shit. When you compare where someone like Nick Watson came compared to Kako, his stats actually look a little bit better after half a dozen games compared to Watson's, who I know went through the inaccurate streak. Kako is not, but all he is going to need is his first, yep, I belong here, 4-quarter performance, and he's going to be away. Like, we've just got to know that, absolutely. And I am pumped to see that happen, in all honesty. But structurally, the Bombers fell apart on turnover, as we know, but it kind of fell apart once West Coast got open space. Now, watching a rebuilding team, you're always going to be thinking to yourself, once they hit those either the corridor balls or the kicks out in front, then you're going to be able to become a lot more damaging. And I think the Bombers did get away with quite a bit there. Too many balls, especially from experienced players. Jack Graham, holy crap, used the ball really badly. Harley Reid is still playing that hybrid half-back rebounding role that just makes me want to just lose my shit. Because how in the everlasting fuck is Harley Reid not playing the same role that Jason Horne-Francis is? Someone explain it to me, because I've got no idea how this powerful athlete who clearly doesn't have the aerobic capacity yet to dominate in the midfield or centre back as he's playing at this point in time for 100 minutes a game. So why is he not a threat up forward? Jake Waterman got taken out of the game after that 4-quarter start. And yes, Jack Williams was awesome. I'm not going to deny that for a moment. Jamie Cripps gave McGrath a couple of nightmares, even though McGrath got the better of that matchup. But can you imagine if for 15 minutes Harley was in that forward line as well? Waterman would no longer have the 2-on-1. Williams would have better leading lanes. Cripps and Ryan would have looked a bit more damaging. Like, Minnie, come on, son. Get around what Daz is selling. I'm telling you. Right, I made a beautiful salmon risotto, Minnie. I know how to cook. Let me cook. Put Harley in the forward half, for crying out loud. But I tell you what, for a lot of criticism that West Coast fans and footy fans and the AFL media have given the Eagles about their drafting, boy, did we see the coming of age of Elijah Hewitt in that second half, who has had injury-interrupted pre-seasons. He's had an injury-interrupted career, to be honest, at this point, but finished with over 20 disposals, kicked a couple of goals, should have kicked a third, just got pushed on the tackle for that flying shot of goal. The Jordan Ridley did an amazing job to getting a hand, a fingernail, a finger on it, about a metre off the goal line, so shout out to you, Geordie. But overall, the message out of this game is a very simple one, and that is, Bomber fans, breathe. You got there, and that's a good thing. And we actually set up a better Anzac Day matchup than probably we think right now, to be honest, because Collingwood are coming off 2 massive wins against Sydney, against Brisbane, the grand finalists. As we know, they will welcome back next week Dan Houston. Absolutely, they will. They might be welcoming back another couple as well. Lockie Schultz, not yet. But the Bombers, coming off a big win, they'll come back. They won't be steaming off a big loss. They'll be able to relax. Anzac days are hard to predict. You would hope for a Bombers fan that the Pies might be dragged a little bit back to their level. How are they going to go with scoring? But right back is going to be good. Could Kako produce an Anzac medal-winning performance? Maybe kick 4, get himself around the goals, and maybe give the Pies some headaches. Who knows? But Jesus, that would be good to see. Or could Nate Caddy come alive and kick a handful? Speaking of things I would love to see, Nate Caddy doing well. He's firmly atop of that list when I think of the Bombers. And how bloody good is Archie Roberts off halfback. The man crush is growing. on Big Arch, and he's got a great name as well. Between Archie Roberts and Xavier Dersma. They're my thoughts, guys, on the Essendon West Coast game. I didn't do one on North Melbourne and Carlton because the game just made me sad to watch, so I'm not doing it. Giving myself that little bit of a break. But comment below, let me know what you think of the game. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe to join the Daz Talks Footy family. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.